wonder, let's see, somebody left a laptop in an office of a gentleman who was supposed to fix the laptop from hell. He never picked it up, and somebody didn't pick up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cocaine. I wonder who that could have been. I don't know. Actually, I think it was Joe.
Erik Erickson's here, host of the nationally syndicated Erik Erickson Show, author of the best conservative newsletter on the block, known as Show Notes. I see it every day. Erik, good to see you as always. Thank you. Congrats on the upcoming book.
Thank you.
Is Donald Trump setting the expectations too high for himself and too low for Joe Biden?
You know, yeah, it's funny you say that. I've been thinking about this, and yeah, I do think he probably needs to play up the fact that, well, you know, I've been tied up in court because of Joe Biden. He's had time to prep and elevate Biden. Historically, you know, incumbent presidents tend to not have a good first debate. They tend to excel at the second debate. I do think that Trump probably needs to be playing up Joe Biden and his ability to perform, and maybe he's going there with telling everybody how amped up he's going to be because of drugs or what have you, and really elevate Joe Biden's stamina for the stage.
All right, so debate rules, no interrupting is going to be enforced by muting one man's microphone, no help from aides during commercial breaks, no audience, no notes, 2 minutes to answer questions, 1 minute for rebuttals. Most importantly, 2 commercial breaks. All in all, this favors Joe Biden, does it not?
I think it does, and in fact, I think the Trump campaign has conceded as much, but they were still willing to go with it. The no notes, I think, helps Donald Trump, although that's pretty standard. No audience certainly helps Joe Biden. I do think, however, given Joe Biden sometimes wanders off thought and corrects himself, the 2 minute, 1 minute could work against him if Donald Trump plays it up right and suggests, well, no, the president should be able to finish his statement and see if Joe Biden continues meandering.
All right, fair enough. Carville, the guy who came up with "It's the Economy, Stupid," Bill Clinton's former advisor, floated this idea that Donald Trump would not show up. Take a listen.
You don't think Trump's coming next week?
I mean, I don't know, but if I was, I think he's going to wake up and say and decide. Just like he said he was going to testify at his defense of his trial. He put on a defense. Let him show up. I wouldn't be shocked, but I certainly would not be surprised. If you gave me even money, I'd say he's a no-show.
I'd take that bet, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I absolutely would. Look, James is a friend, but there's no way that Donald Trump is not coming. Remember, they really didn't think that the Biden team would ultimately debate him. He wants to be on the debate stage with Joe Biden. And frankly, if I were advising Donald Trump, you know, Dana Bash and Jake Tapper, they're friends of mine. They're going to ask him about January 6th. They're going to ask him about the stolen election. And I think every time Donald Trump needs to pivot and say, we're here to talk about how Joe Biden broke the economy. Did you rally a mob? Well, I tried to rally the stock market and Joe Biden broke it. And continue to pivot to the economy every chance he gets.
All right, so he's going to try to pivot to the economy, and Joe Biden's going to try to pivot back to January 6th, threats on democracy. Yeah. And then there's a question about whether or not Joe Biden will say convicted felon. And this is the new Biden ad on that.
In the courtroom, we see Donald Trump for who he is. He's been convicted of 34 felonies, found liable for sexual assault, and he committed financial fraud. Meanwhile, Joe Biden's been working, lowering health care costs and making big corporations pay their fair share. This election is between a convicted criminal who's only out for himself and a president who's fighting for your family.
Okay, so the question is, how does Donald Trump get a win? Joe Biden can get a win a lot of different ways. In fact, the expectations are low enough. He wins by just not having some terrible moment and getting through the 90 minutes. How does Donald Trump get a win?
You know, virtually every issue works in Donald Trump's favor, and so he needs to stick to the issues. The economy, immigration, the border, crime, those work to his favor. And I don't know that he can, because I think convicted felon is going to get under his skin. And Joe Biden is going to try very hard to bait Donald Trump about being a convicted felon, about democracy under attack, about January 6th. And Trump doesn't have the impulse control or discipline. And the Democrats know that. So if Trump can just continue to bring it back to inflation and the border, he can have a solid night.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.